Hello, and welcome back to our channel. Today I'm going to be showing a Hindu movie released in 2012 called Ega. Proceed at your own risk as there are major spoilers ahead. As the movie commences, we're introduced to a character named Sudeep, a rich and powerful man impressing everyone with his firearm skills. He flawlessly executed all of his shots with precision, demanding the attention of onlookers, his business partner and friend Aditya as well. Somewhere else, a young artist named Bindu builds a heart but remains unsatisfied with her work. Shortly after, the power goes out and she has no choice but to resort to the moonlight to complete her work. Opposite Bindu's house is Nani. He is her neighbor who has had a crush on her for 2 years and counting. He is persistent and always tries to find a way to make her fall head over heels for him. His gaze catches her struggling to complete her work in the moonlight. He then builds a light bulb using a torchlight and aluminum foil, allowing her to complete her work faster. However, upon completion, Bindu merely closed her curtains. Nani's friend, who happened to witness everything, was taken aback by Bindu's behavior and advised his friend against chasing her because her character came off as rude. Nani brushed it off, saying it was a sign for him to go to bed as well rather than stand there thinking she was still working. The following day, Sudeep held an exclusive party, celebrating the 3rd-year anniversary of his company. After being able to close a deal with a very stubborn partner he had been trying to sign with for a very long time, the partners took to the bar to celebrate. Sudeep loosely admitted to the source of his wealth, being his late wife whom he killed years ago. Since then, he had taken over her company and has been running it as his own. In addition to being an artist, Bindu runs a non-governmental organization called Project 551 that promotes children's education. She was at the office preparing to buy books for unprivileged children, but the organization was low on funding. Someone then suggested she arrange a meeting with Sudeep because his company was looking to support a non-governmental association. Bindu accepts this offer and proceeds to visit Sudeep's company. Upon glancing at her before she enters the office, he is entranced by her beauty. As she explains about the charitable deeds of her organization, he barely listens to her as he is busy checking her out. At the end of the meeting, she was awarded with a check of 15 lakhs rupees, which caught her by surprise. She thanked him, completely oblivious to his true intention. A few days later, they distribute books and stationery to the unprivileged students in their vicinity together. Shortly after, Sudeep requests Bindu's company for a lunch in a fancy restaurant. As they ate, Bindu received a text from Nani complimenting how she looked. She scanned around and saw him from the other side of the restaurant. She couldn't take her gaze off him. Completely ignoring Sudeep, this hurt his ego. As he drove Bindu home, she requested he stop on the way, claiming she had to stop for groceries. Shortly after she exited the vehicle, Sudeep began stalking her and sees that she is together with Nani. He was enraged with anger and jealousy as no woman had ever ignored his advances to that extent. He then makes it his priority to separate Nani and Bindu. One night, Bindu lost track of time and worked late. When it was time for her to return home, it dawns on her that it's too late and dangerous to go alone. So she sends Nani a blind text, hoping that he would take it as a sign to come to her aid. He received the text and, as she thought, he came to her. The two walk home in silence. After Bindu walked inside, a white van appeared on Nani's path and whisked him inside. They were thugs appointed by Sudeep to get rid of Nani. He was taken to an abandoned house where he was beaten to a pulp. Sudeep arrives and joins the abuse. When Nani found out why Sudeep was beating him, being Bindu, he claimed anyone who tried to harm Bindu would die at his hands. Angered by the statement, Sudeep beats Nani to death. Right after, Bindu calls Nani to tell him she loves him, but it was too late. A while later, Nani's corpse was enveloped in a blinding blue light. It then transfers into a fly's egg nearby. The next day, his body was found in the streets, and the police deemed it to be a hit-and-run accident. Bindu saw the corpse being taken away in an ambulance and was completely devastated. 10 days later, the egg hatched into a fly, being Nani. At first, he didn't remember his past life and tried to fly, but his wings were stuck to his body. He was almost killed by water, but was able to disentangle his wings from his body and become accustomed to flight. He was amazed with his new body and had quite some fun popping bubbles. He was soon chased by a bird. He did manage to find a hole small enough to enter and escaped an early death. The hole happened to lead into a house, where a human accidentally drowns him in a glass of water. The fly then caught a glimpse of the man, which happened to be Sudeep. On sight, memories came flooding in about his past life. Enraged by the revelation, he flies out and attacks his killer, completely forgetting that he was a fly now and that he could do literally no damage to his killer. With a swat of the hand, Sudeep sends Nani flying, but luckily no damage was retained. Nani remembered Bindu and then flew to her house. When he saw her, he was overwhelmed with emotions. He tried to get her attention, but it didn't work. Bindu then received a visit from her sister-in-law, with whom she shares her pain about Nani and how she misses him. Hearing this, he was determined to get her attention. Later that day, Sudeep came to visit her, expressing his condolences for Nani's death and tries to get close to her. Nani then gets into his ear, trying to get him away from her. He succeeds and Sudeep leaves. The next scene shows Sudeep getting into a wooden steam bath with his limbs bound. Nani, seeing him in this vulnerable state, led him to get into his ears and make his move. Sudeep became very uneasy and began to fidget, almost impaling himself with a sharp shower handle. He got out naked with a towel, trying to kill the fly, ruining his image as business partners were outside. Later, Sudeep asks Bindu to come with him to Delhi for the welfare of their organization the next day. To keep them from going, Nani relentlessly bothers Sudeep, not letting have even a second of rest. Sudeep, however, got to sleep for a few minutes till time by completely wrapping himself with a bedsheet. He is then called by Bindu, who reminds him that the flight leaves in an hour. He hurries to the airport, but Nani was very menacing. He made the traffic conductor use confusing hand movements, making him stall for time. Sudeep then changes cars. Nani then attacks his eye, causing him to have an accident. Semi-conscious, Sudeep watches as the fly writes, "I will kill you," on the glass with dust. After he is saved, people thought he was paranoid with his rantings and how he always kept bug spray with him. Bindu also came to see him, which annoyed Nani. He was about to attack Sudeep when Bindu attacked him with fly repellent. He was about to die, but was saved by the sprinkler system, which washed off the deadly toxins from him. Sudeep sought medical help, but comes off as delusional and is asked to rest. Unsatisfied by the answer, he goes back to the scene of the accident and chances on an odd-looking man who tells him that his wealth is about to burn. He ignores him and looks around the wreckage to find a broken glass with "kill" still inscribed. It then dawned on him that the fly really had murderous intent. The next day, Nani sees Bindu mourning him. He then uses the teardrops to write her a message. Bindu was beyond surprised when she read it. She then took the fly in her palm and asked him whether it was really Nani. He then nodded in agreement. Following that, the fly manages to communicate with Bindu, letting her know that Sudeep killed him to get closer to her. She froze in shock. After a waterworks session, she promises to help the fly take revenge on Sudeep. Her artistry came into play as she was able to create tiny glasses for Nani to be saved from repellents. Sudeep then makes his guards look for the fly, but all their methods proved futile. Nani managed to light his bed on fire, drink fly bait, and never lets him sleep at night. But then he has to do something extraordinary to actually kill him. So he decides to fill a working cannon with gunpowder and light it at the right time to kill Sudeep. For the next few days, Bindu fills a tiny bucket of gunpowder for Nani that he repeatedly does till he completely fills the cannon. But then a man placed tissue in the cannon's muzzle, so the plan failed. The next day, Sudeep renovates his house with insect-proof glasses and scanners to prevent the fly from coming in. Due to this, Bindu had to personally visit Sudeep in order to let Nani in. Sudeep then makes inappropriate advances, which makes Nani sink his claws into his skin, making him retreat. The following day, Sudeep had a very important meeting pertaining to an upcoming project, But due to his lack of sleep and fear of flies, he began to rant about fly repellents in the middle of the presentation. Nani then landed on an investor's head, making Sudeep dump a pod on him. Because of this, the investors refused to fund the project, making Sudeep and the company go bankrupt. Following that, tax officers are informed of the black money Sudeep had hidden in his office, but as he tried getting the money out to hide, Nani manages to get the money burnt and he is left almost penniless. Sudeep then remembers the odd-looking man at the accident scene who told him his wealth would be burned soon. He found him and realized he was an expert in black magic named Tantra. With its help, he finds out that the fly is Nani, who is reincarnated and is plotting to seek revenge on him. A ritual is then undertaken to create two dark birds to catch Nani. The birds try to take him down, but pay for it with their lives. The glass doors are locked and the house is filled with smoke. Sudeep and Tantra locked inside. They were saved in the nick of time by Aditya, who happened to see the CCTV camera footage on time. They also saw that Bindu led the fly into the house. Not knowing the secret, he decides to use Bindu in order to kill the fly. He takes her hostage and calls for Nani to come out. Nani then takes the bait. A fight then ensued between the two, through which Bindu manages to hide away while being distracted. Nani tried impaling Sudeep with a needle, but he got countered with a magnet, rendering him immobile. Sudeep manages to find Bindu and holds her hostage again. He then plucks off one of Nani's wings, also getting carried away, mocking them. Just then, Nani notices the paper had fallen out, meaning the cannon could be fired again. He mustered whatever was left of his strength, coated himself in gunpowder, jumped through the flame of a burning match and into the previously loaded cannon. The projectile then passes through Sudeep, killing him at last. It also hit a gas cylinder, causing a major explosion. The next scene shows a man-cat calling Bindu, who is shortly attacked by a needle-wielding fly. It was Nani, and he was announcing his return. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please leave a like and be sure to subscribe. Hit the notification bell for notifications on other videos.